Oh boy, hold on. Sorry, without Bethany and this new system, I'm not as familiar. That's not going to kick everyone else off, is it?
No, you just start the meeting on you join the meeting on your computer. I can also record.
Can you?
I can try.
Hold on one second. Bear with us.
I can't do it while I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, do you want me to share screen?
I got it. Let me just.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, no, you have to.
Hey, Brian?
Just go to your
Hey,
calendar
Scott.
and then your WebEx.
I'm on, but we're having technical difficulty getting onto the website.
The website. Okay.
It's asking us to launch it rather than just join as a guest.
Launch, and then you may have to sign in on it. Just sign in as a guest, son.
Oh, we hit launch.
I just joined as a guest and it works fine.
Comes up where it wants to put your name in and as an email, I think, and you sign in as a guest.
If you're just joining. But no.
I'm on.
Excellent.
Okay.
You all set, Brian?
Getting there. Oh, looks like it is recording. All right, yep, we are recording. We're good. Thanks, Abigail.
We'll call
All
the
right.
meeting in order. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for
Muted.
participating today. We'll do introductions. I'm Dale Stein, Chair. Darren?
Darren Hickling, voting member.
Dave?
Dave Press, Vice Chair, voting member.
Erica?
Erica Goodman, voting member.
Scott?
Here.
Do we have any correspondence today? Or wait, I'm sorry, review and approve minutes first. Are there any additions or corrections? Approve, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Darren, second. We'll go to voting. Dave?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. Any correspondence, Brian?
Yeah, thank you, Dale. Do you want me to run through the advisory member intros too?
Over to you for a second for introductions.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. No worries at all. All right, we'll just go through the advisory member introductions real quick. Anyone from Ag and Markets on?
Good morning, Brian. This is Jeff Keogh.
Good morning, Jeff. CDEA?
Morning, Brian. Dustin here.
Good morning, Dustin. Cornell Cows? Cornell Cooperative Extension? DEC?
Good morning, this is Julie Berlinski, Division of Water.
Morning, Julie. I think I saw Seam's name as well. Seam, you with us? Okay. I believe Department of Health is not with us today. Paul and Morgan both are unavailable. Department of State.
Morning, this is Stephanie with the Office of Planning Development and Community Infrastructure. And I think Kate will be joining us a little later.
Wonderful, thank you. Actually, thank you so much, Stephanie. Welcome. I'm going to go back to DOH though and ask if anyone else from DOH is on the line. Okay. NRCS. I see Blake just joined.
Good morning. everyone, to the committee and to Brian, good morning. Along with myself, I have a new employee, Dan Uffnar, who is our new state soil scientist on board with us today.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, good morning, Blake, and Dan, nice to virtually meet you. Welcome aboard.
Morning, thanks.
And SUNY ESF.
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Steve Shaw.
Good morning, Steve. Okay. Noting the time and the that there's not a whole lot of time here on the agenda. I'll forego staff introductions at this point, but we'll go through, and if anybody's got a report later on, they can certainly introduce themselves to anyone who is unfamiliar and with their affiliation as well. So I think that rounds out all the advisory members, unless I missed anybody. Okay, Dale, now back to you, and then probably back to me.
Correspondence and staff update, anything to say?
Yes, I do have a staff update. I don't have any correspondence to share with the group today. Staff update, I want to let everyone know that we were successful in filling the position that was vacated by Jason Kokinos, a program analyst position, the pivotal position that helps us to collect and manage all of the data for the various state committee ag and markets programs, and use that data to develop reports and evaluation mechanisms for the various programs. That individual should be starting early August, and we will be able to introduce him to the group in September at our September meeting. So very excited to have that position filled again. Somebody who has worked with Jason in various capacities and understands the data pretty well. So I'll refrain from announcing who that is, just as the kind of process and orientation takes a little bit of time. So we'll make sure we get that announcement out to districts, though, as soon as that person comes on board. So stay tuned for that. Okay. And also, I do want to take a minute or two to talk a little bit about the state committee and the state committee leadership, the executive director position specifically. So just want to provide a little bit of background. The Division of Land and Water Resources for the Department of Ag and Markets has 2 units within. It has the Soil and Water Conservation and the Ag Protection Unit. Since the merger that took place in 2011, both programs have grown tremendously through those years, and the responsibility and workload has grown along with that. I think you're all aware through these years, serving as the Assistant Director for the Division of Land and Water Resources, I was given the responsibility for the day-to-day operations of the Soil and Water Unit, and to serve as an acting executive director for the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. That has been an absolute pleasure, and I just want to say also just a dream job for me to be able to work with all the conservation districts, also to be able to work with this committee and all the important work that it does. Through those years, I haven't really been what would be considered an assistant director for the division, in order to assist the division director in the agricultural protection programs and the administration of ag and markets law that authorizes those programs. Certainly over the last couple of years, both with the committee and with the department, it was recognized that we need to work on the organization and need to be able to provide the committee with the full-time leadership that it deserves. So with that said, we've been working with the department on the development of an executive director position that would serve within the Division of Land and Water Resources, but would be separate, distinct, and full-time responsibility to the committee. Making sure that the committee is implementing its strategic plan and ensuring that the committee is operating under district law, and certainly also assisting and networking and working with all the conservation districts across the state. That has been a long process, as you can imagine, so it's taken some time to get to this point, to develop a description for this job, and we're getting pretty close. So this meeting gives us a great opportunity just to announce publicly that the department will be issuing a job announcement for the state committee executive director. Prior to this, I should back up a little bit as well. The director of the division, either soil and water, or in this case, land and water, holds both titles, but it's clearly time and I think necessary for there to be a specific executive director position for the State Soil and Water Committee. So before we meet again, it's very likely that announcement will go out publicly, and we'll begin our recruitment and our search for a state committee executive director. Pausing for discussion, questions, comments. Dale, I think you're muted. Double muted, Dale. Maybe from your phone. Nothing yet.
Sorry. I don't know.
We're
I guess, continue on, Brian.
No, that's okay, Dale. We've got you now. Do you have a question or comment you'd like to make?
I don't know. Brian and I had long discussions on this over many, many, many months, and it's finally coming to a fruition, and there'll be some changes. It will do a great service for soil and water to make this change, and look forward to working through the process of it. As for my audio, you'll have to let me know if it quits again, because it says it wasn't muted, but go ahead, Brian, continue.
Yeah, no, you're good, Dale. Now, it was a little choppy there, but just one other point to make here too, that our first deputy commissioner, the whole agency has been extremely supportive of this reorganization plan, and really has led the way in the effort. There's also other divisions where there hasn't been a full-time assistant director to assist and to be able to step in for that continuity of government plans. So this also gives our division an opportunity to have a full-time assistant director whose responsibility would be to the entire division rather than a unit within that division. So again, all that necessitates the reorganization, and as Dale mentioned, something that we've been talking about for some time and finally coming to fruition.
This is Stephanie from DOS. I think it sounds like a good plan so that you can have, the support that you need for all the divisions and the units that you're working on, and, give full-time focus on the committee, and whoever that person might be has really big shoes to fill, because you've been doing such a great job over these last however many years you've been leading the charge. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and I think it's a good plan.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you very much for that. Appreciate those kind words. You know, and as the assistant director for the division, or however it shakes out, you know, there still would be a lot of interaction, you know, as the committee and department continues to work together to advance our mutual goals. So, so yes, by the next time we meet in September, considering that we generally take the month of August off, you know, there will be more. There will be more to come, and hopefully, we'll know quite a bit more about the future leadership of the committee. And with that, you know, we are also going to be motioning to executive session as we promise to revisit, you know, leadership at the committee voting member level as well, you know, today. So, all right, Dale, that's all I have for staff updates. I guess I will keep the mic though and go right into Ag Non-Point program. However, as we're sharing the screen here, and maybe I can stop sharing, I can kind of get a better sense as to who's on the line right now. As I mentioned in the email when the announcement went out, that it was going to be a little clunky given that we do need to have districts, with the exception of the president of the Employees Association. That means also district board members to please recuse themselves for the next part of the agenda, going right up until about 11:30, as we get into the round 28 ranked list and resolution 22-2, round 6 ranked list 22-3, and the AIM base 17 round 29 split, and right through the executive session. So with that said, I'm going to take a couple of minutes for all of our district partners on the line today, and any farmers who have participated in either of those programs, Ag Non-Point or CRF 28 and 6, to please recuse by hanging up the line. And you can join us again at 11:30 when we have our AIM-based program report and our partnership reports. Thank you.
Someone has their hand.
Adequately.
Okay. I think there's a hand up. Is it Corey Humphrey? Feel free to take your phone off mute if you got a question or a comment. Might already have left. Yep, there you are. Go ahead, Corey. Not hearing you, Corey. All right, Corey. Well, you're welcome to.
So Corey asked, do I need to leave also? I did not participate in round 28 or CRF.
Yeah, so every district, regardless of your participation in either Ag Non-Point or CRF, pursuant to our Ethics Commission determination, we'll have to recuse and leave the meeting at this time. Thanks for your question, Corey.
Can you check the participant?
All right, we'll just give it one more minute and we'll get started again.
Okay.
Hey, there's Scott. I can see you now. All right. All right. Well, as folks are leaving, and you know, just make sure. Okay, everybody keeps their phone on mute as well if they're not talking. Looks like we are good. Corey and Jake, I do see your names. If you can please hang up the line and come back around 11:30, that would be appreciated. Okay, I see Jake.
We can dismiss them
All right, well, thank you, Abigail. So Bethany is on leave today, so forgive me, hustling through. Oh, there's Corey. Hi, Corey. Corey, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the meeting at this time. You can come back at 11:30? All right, well, Abigail's working on that. Bethany did leave me with a few bullets here as well. To date, we've completed 33 contract closeouts under Ag Non-Point for the year, 11 time extension amendments, and 1 landowner change amendment. Currently, the division is managing 145 active contracts from rounds 21 through 26. That represents approximately $52.7 million. 43 contracts are pending, all from round 27. And that represents approximately $13.7 million. Okay.
Are they here?
All right, we're gonna move on. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Corey. Okay, so gonna go ahead and share my screen and pull up the ranked list for round 28. And I know that this is extremely small and hard to see, but I just want to put this up as a backdrop. So for round 28, again, just as a reminder, we received 81 applications in response to the round 28 RFP. And during a review for eligibility and completeness, 1 proposal was determined to be incomplete and could not be scored. So that means that 80 proposals were scored. 13 million was made available in the RFP to support projects through round 28. And just a huge, huge thank you to all our external reviewers, our evaluators for round 28 of Ag Non-Point, and some of them also pulled double duty for round 6 of CRF. All of the evaluators got their scores in on time. They were able to have a post-review meeting where they discussed certain proposals where there was a wide disparity in scores. And we've had some new evaluators this year as well. And just a huge, huge thank you. We know what kind of time commitment there is. And with this program and pursuant to district law and our evaluation instrument, the advisory members score proposals. We add those scores up and we rank those scores from highest to lowest. And that is our ranked list for which we determine awards. So it's not just a review of our advisory members taken into consideration with other evaluation metrics. This is the evaluation metric. So again, thank you all to our advisory members from the committee in getting to this point. With that said, and I can scroll through this if anybody would like, with 13 million available, this would mean that we would be getting to, and forgive me, I'm just going to increase this a little bit here. Getting to about 35 or 36 projects this year. So a little lower than we've had in the past. And with that said, in part because we've had some pretty expensive projects come in as well. And with 145 active contracts and 43 contracts pending with round 27, 35 will be a breeze for us in the next round. So with that said, Dale, I don't know if you can if you've got audio. You're muted again, Dale. Do you want to try to disconnect and come back in? All right, just waiting for Dale to come back before we get into the resolution. All right, I see you, Dale. Audio is still a problem.
Muted?
Oh, okay, Dale.
But I gotta shut the video off for the moment and just do only voice, it looks like.
No worries. No worries.
It's just, I've had problems here once in a while. I don't know.
Stick to the audio.
We have to have a motion to approve the rank list. Are any questions, comments, anyone? What was the total amount requested for all the proposals?
Total amount requested was, I'll go down to the bottom of the list here. Oops. Hold on a second, sorry about that. Total amount requested was $28,932,434. There is one project under the scoring threshold, so even if we had nearly 29 million, that project would not be funded. But other than that, yeah, so it was a big round, still had about 30 million in request, 43 million in total project cost. And like I said, we've got about 13 million for this round, so we'll be able to fund about 35, 36 projects.
Good. Do you want to read the resolution?
Yep, I will read the resolution 22-2. That subject to the availability of funds, the committee shall award funding pursuant to round 28 of the Agnon Point Source Abatement and Control Program for projects 1 through 80 in order ranked and the amounts recommended by the advisory members of the committee until funds available for this purpose are exhausted or the scoring threshold is reached. Consistent with Salem District law, the RFP, and any other law applicable to funding of such projects. Consistent with the RFP, the committee authorizes the Department of Ag and Markets to negotiate the terms of the contract with the project sponsors and to make minor adjustments to the project description and budget as necessary to achieve project goals, conform to applicable laws and regulations, and to serve the best interests of the state.
Thank you. Any questions, comments before we ask for a motion or anything, anyone?
Hey, Brian, this is.
Please? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say this is Dustin. It looked like everything you were showing was from like number 35 on. Was that the beginning of the list, or am I missing something?
No, I had the first page on there initially, and then I went to the funding threshold. Yeah.
That was okay. I got bumped off for some reason and had to come back, so that was confusing me. I just kept seeing number 35, and I'm like, I didn't think it started at 35. So.
No, it did not. Here, I'll just bring this up really quickly again. So I'll go back.
Okay.
What happened here? We're gonna go. There we go. Okay, so this is the first page.
Thank you. I was thrown off and I had to sign back in, and it just confused me when I was looking at it. So my apologies.
Yeah, no worries. It's also really, really small, so I expanded it out so you didn't see the full first page.
I understand. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. No worries.
Move the ranked list as resolution read, please. Second,
Second.
Erica moved and Darren seconded. We'll go to voting. Erica,
Aye.
Darren,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
This is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical issues and all of that. So let's see here. We might be running a little bit behind, but not too bad.
Yeah,
So
we're
the
okay.
next one is CRF, and I'll ask Jennifer if you want to take the mic and the controls and take it away.
I should recuse, Brian.
Yes,
And
Dale, thank you
I'm
very
gonna
much.
I'm going to step off, and you text me as soon as you're done it, and I will come right back on.
Wonderful, Dale, thank you. Dave, you now are the chair.
Okay.
And look at that, we have both your audio and visual, so we're good. All right, Dale has left the call, so Jennifer, you are free to take it away.
Thank you, Brian. So I am Jennifer Clifford. I oversee our climate resilient farming program. And we had, this is the ranked list before you. We had 69 applications come in. They were all reviewed by our wonderful reviewers, who I would also like to thank for all of your hard work and participation in all of the necessary meetings to do all the review work. We had 36 proposals that were awarded the new participant benefit. We had a new participant benefit this round where we awarded 5 additional points after the aggregated score to participants that had not been awarded an Ag non-point source, CRF, or AIM implementation cost share in the past. So that was a very successful bonus that brought in new participants to the program this year. We had 13 million requested, and we only have 8 million available. So there will definitely be proposals that will be unfortunately not funded, but will be able to reapply next round. All of the proposals in track 1 will be awarded funding, as we had allotted, let me just go down to the bottom. We had allotted 4 million for track 1, 2 million for track 2, and 2 million for track 3. And we had a request of 1.9 million for track 1. So all of those proposals were above any sort of review and point threshold, so they will all be funded, and then those remaining funds will be equally split between rounds 2, or I'm sorry, track 2 and track 3. So track 2 and track 3 will be bumped up slightly to about 3 million each. And we will, continue down the ranked list once approved to expend all funding, as well as offer partial awards to anyone that's at that funding line until we've exhausted all of the funds. So that all of that is written into the RFP. So we do not have to have any sort of discussion or voting on that part. That's written into the RFP. That mechanism is available for us to pursue once the rank list is approved. Are there any questions about the ranked list before it's voted upon?
Again, Jennifer, I know that you've reported on this already, but just the number of proposals that came in this year was wonderful to see. You know, this is the first year that we offered 8 million, 2 years in one, and to have over 13 million in requests just really knocked our socks off. That was great to see that this program continues to grow and in demand, and districts are now, I think, looking at this program as a core, cost share program to assist farmers in different areas and for different reasons across the state. So just great to see, and certainly the evaluators had their work cut out for them. Thank you all. So right now, so again, this is a little different than Ag Now Point. There's actually 3 ranked lists in one program. So, you know, the rankings for track 1, track 2, and track 3, all here.
Correct. So I just moved all the way to the top of the list. And at the gray line is where, so it's track 1, at the gray line is where you see track 2 begin. And then the third page is all of track 3.
Dave, hearing no other questions or comments, I think we can move forward and we can read the resolution, and then you can ask for a motion.
Can I get a motion?
Oh, we'll have Jennifer read the resolution first, just so it's in the record.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
No worries at all.
So the resolution for CRF is Resolution 22-03, that subject to the availability of funds, the committee shall award funding pursuant to Round 6 of the Climate Resilient Farming Grant Program for projects ranked on each of the 3 lists, 1 list per track, until funds available for this purpose are exhausted or the scoring threshold is reached. Consistent with the Soil and Water Conservation District Law, the RFP, and any other law applicable to funding of such projects. Consistent with the RFP, the committee authorizes the Department of Agriculture and Markets to negotiate the terms of the contract with the project sponsors and to make minor adjustments to the project description and budget as necessary to achieve project goals, conform to applicable laws and regulations, and to serve the best interest of the state. That is the end of the resolution, so you are ready to proceed with a vote.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now we can.
Yep. Have to have a motion first, don't we?
Yes, you do.
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, take a vote.
Yep, and we'll do a roll call vote, Dave, so you can just ask each voting member how they vote.
Okay. Can you give the list of the voting members? I haven't got one here.
Sure.
And I can't remember names worth a doggone.
Okay, Darren.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Scott. Scott?
Aye. Sorry about that.
All right. Oh, no worries. So Dave, that's the majority. You don't have to vote as the chair. So that motion's passed. Resolution's passed. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jennifer.
very much.
Thank you, Dave. All right, so that concludes our CRF round 6 discussion and approval of the ranked list. I'll text Dale and let him know that he can come back to the meeting.
Hey, Brian, this is Dustin again.
Yep.
Can I ask just a quick question? I know this was brought up before, so because there was only 2 million requested for cover and flare, there's 2 million left, so 1 million from each will go to each of the other tracks is the plan, so they'll be roughly both about 3 million?
That's correct, yes, and we write that formula right into the RFP, so that is predetermined.
Okay,
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure I was thinking correctly. That's all. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Great question, Dustin. Okay, I see Dale has joined again, but we'll make sure his audio gets up and running.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Dale. Thank you.
Not sure what's going on, but it wouldn't come back on for me again.
Oh, dear. We've only done this for about 2.5 years, but you know, every month's a curveball thrown somehow. So, all right. So we are with ranked list for round 6, and we're on to aim base 17, Agnon point 29 funding split consideration. So, Greg, if you're with us, feel free to take.
I am. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, State Committee. This is the annual step that we offer first through the Technical Advisory Committee meeting, and then ultimately, as of today, right, for the State Committee's consideration to fund another year of technical assistance track work through the AIM base program. And so the request we're making for a motion from the State Committee is that the remaining $3,367,046 be supported for AIM Round 17, Year 2 through the Agnon Point Source Round 29 budget. And that's from the 2022-2023 EPF line. So Dale, that's the extent of the request.
Excellent. Do you have a specific anything specific, Brian, you have to have approved for that? I mean, we need to approve it, but a specific motion?
This is just
Nothing.
this is just a motion. Yeah, this is a motion.
Just a motion to approve the.
Okay. Yep. As Greg mentioned, it's gone through, you know, our staff and our internal review and process to make sure we've got enough funding for this, and it's gone through the tax. So, yep.
We get a motion to approve the AIM-based round 17 funding, please.
I'll move.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
By Darren, seconded by Erica. We'll go to voting. Darren?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Now we are ahead of schedule, doing well. And Greg's going to come back and talk to us about round 16. Can't wait for that report. Prior to that, though, and the last thing we'll do before folks will join us again here, and now we've got a little bit more time for this executive session. So what we're going to attempt to do is a breakout session for the voting members and for me to join this executive session, of course, after Dale, you asked for a motion to go into it, and then we'll motion out and we'll re-adjourn. No matter what, you know, even if we're done with the discussion, we'll take a break ourselves and we'll re-adjourn right at 11:30 for the AIM base round 16 completion report, so that districts and other partners have an opportunity to come back and hear this great report. So it's all right. We can, and if you know, we haven't practiced this in a while, so if this doesn't work out for us, we'll just ask folks to leave and come back. But we've got a couple of different options to do this.
Okay. Good. Need a motion to go into executive session, please.
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
Darren moved, Erica a second. Voting, Darren?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go into executive session and we'll be back in a little bit. How do we move it now? Go to it now, Brian?
I think we're gonna do this virtually right now. We're gonna move our voting members and meet to this session.
Let's hope it works. So.
So you'll just click join now. It'll come up on your thing.
It's all right. That's fine because I'm on this, right?
No, you won't be in there.
Oh, okay. So you have to just call me.
Yeah, so how's it going?
Can I-
Oh.
Hey, Dave, can you hear
Yes.
us?
Yes.
We gotta get you in. Thank you. Is Opie in there to help you out, or?
On the screen.
But it's a lot more complicated. They can add it at any time. I don't know why.
Dave?
Number of us are having either
Yes.
video.
Do you have something on your screen that says enter breakout session?
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll get you. That's fine.
Yeah, because we just moved him here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so see if it's there.
See, do you have anything now?
No.
I got session 1. He's not in the session because he's in the main room.
Something keeps coming in, but it's blocking itself off.
Is can Opie or
I'll get over you in here.
yeah.
Because I just checked mine and it just came up.
Yeah. Guys, we're getting Dave in. We're gonna have somebody help Dave to get in, so stay tuned.
Now what's going on? Hey, folks, I can't hear anything now.
This is Stephanie. I think because they went into executive session, we're not in that. So I think we're just on hold until they come back. Unless you're
Yeah,
supposed to be in the session.
Yeah, so Scott's got both a visual and a separate audio, so we gotta try to get the audio in.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I know, but that's the main
couldn't get-
session. That's the main session, Scott. We gotta try to get you over.
Oh.
Is he just on telephone?
All right, Scott, are you just on the telephone? What you
Yeah.
got?
I hate technology.
You know what? Let's end this session. We'll just ask folks to.
Do you want me to just start one on mine and then you keep the main one going and I can start a new session?
You know what? I think it'd be easier just if I. All right, we're gonna try something new, guys.
I'm gonna kick him back to the main meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to the main meeting. We're gonna ask everybody to disconnect. Hopefully they're at their. If that doesn't work, we'll. Oh. All right, so now we're back. We're back in the main meeting, everybody. For those who are remaining, and there's not too many, if I could just ask you to please disconnect your line and come back at 11:30.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
I'll stay and then
Okay.
kick anybody off that's not supposed to be here.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thanks. Pull up my slides here. And just do a check, Brian, can you see my slides and hear me okay?
Yep.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thanks, Dale, Brian, everyone. I'm Greg Albrecht. I coordinate the AIM-based program here on the state committee staff and want to give a completion report for the AIM-based program round 16. In years past, we would do this with a table with performance data from the soil and water districts participating in the AIM-based program. But with the expansion of AIM 16, it made sense to do a little more thorough, a little more visual job. So consider the report this time around as these PowerPoint slides. Before I get started, though, I really want to acknowledge I threw myself in the lower right-hand corner there as the person who will be presenting here, but it's not without all the hard work and thought and effort and sincere action by the other folks and entities that are listed there. So the voting members of the state committee and the advisory committee members, district staff, obviously, they're making this happen along with farmers in the partners section there on the ground, and they're what bring the impact that I'll attempt to summarize in the coming slides. Right next on that list are the regional coordinators on the state committee staff who are just jacks of all trades and do everything with districts to, help establish goals and meet goals and step forward in advance, along with other ag and market staff and partners that we rely on for different and good ideas and organization and applied research. It really is a team effort that's nicely exemplified by the state committee itself, right, and those who participate. So many thanks to all of you. I've got about 30 slides here, and I guess I know we have a little bit of a time, structure here, but consider me interruptible. Happy to field questions along the way. Brian and Abigail, if I'm not seeing something in the chat or elsewhere, if you could monitor that and let me know, I'm happy to do that. And I just may pause and go a couple slides forward in case the answer is on that slide that you ask at a certain point in time. I want to talk about highlights, both across the technical assistance track and the new Tier 4 cost share BMP system implementation track, some estimates of outcomes, and then think about the remainder of AIM 17 and AIM 18. But before I start, I just want to provide context here like we like to do. What we're really talking about today is focused on this technical assistance work that soil water districts and partners do directly with farmers, and then cost share programs to aid that technical assistance work with financing to install best management practice systems for a whole host of reasons, broadly enhancing the environment and the viability of agriculture, sort of the short mission of AEM and the framework overall. But those two things only happen in a high functioning way if we have partnerships and coordination, good collectively developed smart policy, technical tools based on applied research and extension that we then train and outreach, and practitioners in the field work to improve their understanding, knowledge, and credentials to do this work and capacity to do this work. That's driven by locally led strategies and priorities. And when you bundle the whole AIM framework together, it's smart to take a break and celebrate the successes that come from that with the people who excel in it through awards and recognition. So that's a really important framework, which is fairly unique in the United States. That's been under development and increasingly functional since the late 80s, let's say, in a formal way. And today we're just going to talk about two of these elements, the technical assistance and one of our cost share programs, right? Other cost share programs we've talked about earlier in the meeting with, for instance, climate resilient farming or ag non-point source and so on. Okay. So here's a structure. This is familiar for most, but I know just for partners on the phone, I'm going to revisit some concepts here so we're on the same page of the AIM-based program, round 16. So that's a subset of the overall AIM framework, and it's one of our funding programs that we offer from the State Committee in Ag and Markets. And it's a little bit unique, I guess, as each of our funding programs are, in that it provides non-competitive funding, and this is how it started, for technical assistance work by districts to work with farmers through the 5 tiers of AIM, and then some support activities like training and outreach and partnership work. And after 15 years of successfully doing that and growing that, the idea was planted to, hey, what if we paired that with a modest Tier 4 BMP system cost share track to further help, like we do with Ag non-point source and CRF, and even partner programs significantly, right, with NRCS EQIP and Dairy Advancement Program and so on, to install practices on farms that come out of the technical tier work and Tier 3 plans. So we gave it a shot back in the fall of 2019, on a fairly quick timeline. And everybody on the call here, if you were there then, you were instrumental in developing the approach so that made as much sense as we knew how to do it back then. And the districts really stepped up. And I'll show how so in a moment here. But we decided to offer it in 2 tracks. One, the old technical assistance track, and that's similar as we've done it with 3 options depending on the capacity of full-time staff at the district, starting at $130,000 over 2 years, or $65,000, 220 or $110,000 per year, $170,000 over 2 years, or $85,000 a year for district staff to use to work with farmers and in inventory assessment, planning, implementation, and follow-up and updating. And that obviously leads to opportunities and priorities to actually implement practices. And as we know, often that is really fast-tracked by cost-sharing those practices. And this is the new part of AIM 16 that we'll dive into with more details. But it offers $100,000 per district over the 2-year program, and with projects capped at $50,000 of state share per farm and a cost share rate, as you can see there. And it's all based on implementing those priority projects that are locally determined as priorities by districts and boards and partners from Tier 3 conservation plans. Like all of our programs, it draws from the BMP systems from our Ag BMP catalog, and are all based on NRCS conservation practice standards. And a little bit unique from our other programs, that this is a hard stop 2-year calendar-based program. So it's really aimed at farmer-ready, shovel-ready, doable in really less than 2-year projects. So this is a structure to sort of keep this in your mind as we then talk about both at a high level and then unpack each track individually in the slides to come. All right, highlights now from AIM round 16. It closed out at the end of 2021, and then we're working on final closeout work through the winter and early spring. And so all this information is based on final hard numbers from the 52 soil and water districts who participated. It's always exciting when we get a new soil and water district to participate in the AIM-based program, and we did in AIM 16. Thanks, Hamilton County. And within that, there were 43 districts that completed both technical assistance track work and Tier 4 cost share track work, and then 9 districts focused on completing just the technical assistance track work en route someday, right? That's the goal, to participating in the Tier 4 cost share track. With the final numbers in hand, about $9.25 million was reimbursed across the 2 tracks, with about $5.75 million for the technical assistance track working through the AIM tiers. And if you look at all the time logs and add them up, that's roughly about 131,000 hours over 2 years across approximately 150 soil and water district staff in the 52 counties. And about $3.5 million was expended from state funds for practice system implementation through the new Tier 4 cost share track. And let's look at that in a little more granular way. Within the Tier 4 cost share track, that's the new part of the AIM-based program, there were 160 Tier 4 projects on 152 farms, and that was comprised of 190 conservation practices. So this is 160 BMP systems, and in some cases, multiple BMP systems operate in concert together on a single farm. That's why they're a little different, a little more than the number of farms. And then each BMP system is comprised of, a few to a handful of NRCS conservation practices based on their standards. That's why those numbers look the way they do. Of those 152 farms, there were 7 of them had an NRCS match off an EQIP, and 29 of them had a local match through other district funds that they received from local or federal sources. There was, looking at the projects now per district, there were 3.5 Tier 4 cost share track projects per district. And that's pretty similar to what the districts proposed in their action plans too. So it's a nice kind of indication of what we all want and strive for, right? A lot of nice pre-planning in Tier 3 leading to projects that are implemented in now a cost share program. And a breakdown of the cost share of those 152 farm projects was about 60% or $21,000 from the state share, about 1,500 or 4% from local sponsor share. And then farmers continue to invest significantly in conservation through about $13,000 per project, or a little over a third of the project expense to build these systems on their farms. Total project, average total project cost per project was around $35,000. And as you'll see in a little bit, as proposed in their AIM-16 action plans, this was implemented over quite a spread of farm types and BMP systems. As you can imagine, looking at agriculture and as diverse it is in New York State and the number of active soil and water districts with AIM programs across the state. Okay, so let's continue on the high-level approach here, and this is sort of a visual version of the normal AIM-based report that we provide at the end of an AIM-based year, or round as they are now since they're 2 years in length. But the bar graph on the screen right now shows since the start of the AIM-based program in 2005, is the year one. Remember, the AIM framework was initiated in state law in 2000. And then we continued to organize and came up with a good idea about a non-competitive technical assistance track a few years later, and that came to fruition in 2005. And you can see that on the left axis, that's just the count of the soil and water districts that are participating over time. And we're moving around, 54, 52, 53, currently at 52. And it's very exciting. I've got a green bar there that shows the total number of soil and water conservation districts at 58 in the state. And I think we're all loving these conversations that are currently in play about expanding into helping with technical tools, helping with better definitions of what a farm is, better cost share opportunities to reach even more in different kinds of farms in different places. A lot of talk about farming in more urban areas, and hoping we can continue to boost this number maybe toward 58. Let's set that as a goal for ourselves in the coming years. So that's district participation, and I know there's active work with the regional coordinators to help with gaining understanding and interest to enter into the AIM-based program of other districts. Let's look at now funding. So this orange plot is a line over time of the total funds requested by districts for the AIM-based program. And up until round 16, it was exclusively just for technical assistance tracked funds and work. And that moved, if you look to the right-hand axis now, in the 2 to 3 million per year across all 50-odd soil and water districts. And then in 2020, with this new program, it ramped up to include 2 tracks worth of work, both technical assistance and financial assistance to implement practices, and then also a 2-year program. So I didn't split that out on an average for each of the years of AIM-16, so that's the factor that really spikes it up. The next line is the total amount that was reimbursed. So this is a reimbursement program, and districts earn the funds by providing technical assistance and reporting on that, and then completing Tier 4 implementation projects with farmers and reporting on that. And you can see, a lovely thing that has tracked since year one there, which is hats off to the district for very closely and efficiently, using the funds that they propose in their action plans. And that bounces around between, about 82% is used of what they request to 90%. And that's an excellent ratio. And I think there's probably some fine detail work to be done to continue as we try to do with every round to hone it and make that even better and use more of those funds that are available. Okay, this next slide is really for report purposes. It's kind of our standard from year one through current high-level view of AIM base. Don't strain your eyes to look at that. This is the second page of it since we've been plugging along with it for 16 plus years now. And I'll just draw your attention to the bottom row here, which is are the AIM 16 numbers. Like I said, 52 stormwater water districts. The participation across the 3 funding options for technical assistance were 31 with option A, 14 for option B, so that means they have an AIM certified planner full-time on staff, and 7 districts for option C, and that means they have a certified crop advisor and NACS certified planner on staff. Total requested was 11.25, and they earned 9.25 million, and that's that 82 sort of reimbursement rate that we track over time, which you know, it is a lot went on. We've all had it in discussions. It even shows up in several of the AIM reports that we receive over the 2 years, and that close out of, you know, landowners getting sick, family getting sick, project delays, cost overruns. So big hats off to be able to, you know, use this percentage with all the unexpected change that happened in AIM 16 relative to what they requested in their action plans in the fall of 2019. And there's, you know, I'm sure opportunities to continue to hone and you know, increase this utilization rate over time. Okay, that's the stopping point for high-level AIM 16 report there. Now I want to focus on first the technical assistance track, and then we'll focus on the Tier 4 cost share track, and actually have some photos and some examples in the short time we have here. Brian, Abigail, doing okay on chat and questions here? I haven't peeked at the bar above. Looks like I'll keep plugging.
All good, Greg.
All right.
All good. Thank you so much.
All right. So for familiarity, unless this is your day job, this may not stay in top of mind, but this is the technical framework within the AIM program, and both tracks support efforts across our 5 tiers of AIM, which you can kind of think of as a planning process. It is modeled absolutely on the right-hand column there, the 9-step planning process from USD NRCS. You could also think of it as continual assurance. You can also think of it as adaptation, right? Because we start with tiers 1 and tier 2 to get basic information, and then from a science-based, very detailed, focused level with the farm, assess existing stewardship and opportunities for improvement through an environmental assessment. That's the sort of technical part of those, but perhaps the most important part of this, and it only has to grow to make it successful in tiers 3, 4, and 5, is relationship building. And so these are meant to be kind of small steps that lead to bigger steps, that lead to bigger steps, and conversations and trust built between farmers and soil and water districts and partners as they work together on farm projects. And that's probably most of the substance of it is I guess if you unpacked it, maybe from a behavioral science standpoint, is the relationship building nature of this process of basic info, environmental assessment, building relationships, establishing priorities to then plan through tier 3 conservation plans. And we have many different types of conservation plans to fit the needs of both the environment and the farm family's interest, from farmstead focus to nutrient management to soil health, grazing, pest management, stream corridor, forest conservation, larger scale work like comprehensive nutrient management plans, which cover farmsteads, fields, and sometimes pastures and stream corridors, and then whole farm plans, which you can kind of lump all land uses into those. That then leads to priorities for implementation that are based on what the natural resources are saying, and then what the interests of the farms are, of the farmer is indicating. And those then lead to what we would want to implement. Some of that gets done by the farmer in their own budget, and a lot of them, especially those that don't have also a significant production benefit, but they're providing a lot of environmental benefit, get supported through cost share programs, either like the state ones, the one I'm talking about in a bit here, or the federal ones. And then kind of unique to AIM, but really important, is an evaluation step. Hey, we planned, we implemented, let's check out how it's working. How is operation and maintenance? What could we tweak in this system? Or what could I do better if I have a similar conversation about a similar resource concern and practice system on another farm? Also, hey, plans have a shelf life. So we did a really nice job 3 years ago working out a plan together. It's time to do an update. Maybe let's reach out into another management area. Maybe let's bring pasture into the plan that we've developed. So all really key parts that are funded by this AIM-based program. And last but not least, there's other elements that districts operate and are reimbursed for, such as support with partners, outreach and education, program evaluation, data management, and reporting, that are key to make all of this tick in the 5 tiers and supported through AIM-based. Okay, so those are the tiers. Keep these in mind, and let's look at, again, some work over the years. This, again, goes back to year 1, and this is a count of tiers completed, and in the right-hand column, you can see the color coding for the tier. So here's tier 1. This is a simple inventory, start of the relationship, if you will, of what the farm is and what the farmer's interests are. And you can imagine that comes in high. That's where we start in the early years, and it kind of settles, and they follow each other. And that makes sense because often tier 1 does lead to tier 2. Now, if we fold in the tier 3 line, the gray line, that's much more in-depth work, both time commitment from the farmer and thought and energy, and similarly from a soil water district planner or another planner involved. And, we like to see consistency and stability here. And you'll hear me say this a few times, a blend of tier work. And let's watch for that. So tier 3 planning, around the 300 mark here, bouncing between 200 and 300. Tier 3 plans per year. And the yellow line is tier 4 implementation. So this is technical support for implementing practices, whether it's through this new cost share program with a name base, or whether it's through other things like helping a federal partner with an RCS project. We like upward inclines and stability here, right? Because that means we're building with farmers the needed technical plans to be able to implement. Tier 5A is an update of a Tier 2 plan. So if it's been a little while and the farmer just wasn't right in a good spot there to really implement, or it's been a while since we've talked, we might re-engage with the relationship if a couple years later it just made a lot more sense for the farmer with an updated assessment, which hopefully leads to planning and implementation. And this green bar is that follow-up and evaluation. So you see in the early years, right, there's a lot of relationship building and initial work that leads to a high level of this more substantial work, right, with planning, implementation, and evaluation. And that's kind of the sweet spot, because districts need to both engage other in the farming community and start the process, as well as continue work with those that are engaged and interested in working. And so this blend, this portfolio is really nice. I think what everybody on the call, especially districts, would want, right, is, hey, can we just like shift this blend up, for higher volume every year? And I think we've got to continue soul searching collectively of how to do that, because we all want to do more, and we're certainly being asked to do more. Okay, this is just another data table from the standard report that we used to do, and I just wanted to file it with this presentation, if you will, but it shows the numbers that I just displayed on the graph. to just pause a moment here and unpack the one or two of the tiers, actually. They're both planning tiers. We wanted to show the blend of Tier 3 plans or Tier 5B plan updates that districts are performing here in round 16. And this is pretty cool because we offer several different types to, attempt to meet the needs that are found on farms. And we're working on a couple more because they're not all there. But it's really nice to see districts trying new things and working across the plan types across many different farms. A couple new ones that are really neat to see, right, are the Forest Conservation Plan, and then this introduction to nutrient management that is totally in concert with full 590 nutrient management, but just the first couple of steps of that. And we're seeing districts participate in that. So this was, I was very happy to see it play out like this when just out of the raw spreadsheet of data. Okay, I'll pause for just a sec there. That is our quick report and summary of the technical assistance track work, mostly by the numbers. And I want to shift over to the Tier 4 BMP system implementation track work now. And just repeating this slide here, with the text and the information on the bottom of the slide there, again, are the nuts and bolts averages across the 152 farm projects that completed BMP system implementation through the 2-year AIM 16 program. So let's dig into this a little bit. First off is what types of farms did districts engage with in AIM 16? And this came from primarily prior planning work, in AIM 15 or so that led to these projects that were ready in a pretty quick turnaround, snappy 2-year cost share program. And you can see that about 2/3 are dairy and beef, integrated livestock and cropping farms. About 12% were sort of non-livestock cash grain farms, and some growing pursuits here with smaller ruminants and vineyards and fresh market vegetables and small fruit. I have to mention maple because that's very exciting. I think grown and certified sort of caught the interest of a lot of maple producers. I fancy myself a hobby producer, so it makes me excited to see this on the map. And thanks to some of our forestry colleagues in the district family that have been doing projects here. This is high-level stuff, implementation projects on farms in the woods. I hope to see more of that as well. All of these Tier 4 BMP implementation projects follow the guidelines of BMP systems as defined in our Ag Best Management Practice Systems catalog. And there's a snapshot on the right-hand screen of what the document actually looks like, and I'll link at the bottom there. And these are the current systems that we have on the books to draw from and then design series of NRCS practices to address the resource concern on the farm and have a workable, viable system for the farm to operate. And stay tuned, more to come on this. We realize we don't have everything we need for all we're being asked to do. So here's an account of those 152 farm projects with 160 systems. Quite a range. If you look at the systems we have here, hold that in your mind's eye, and then across the x-axis on the bottom here, access control to exclude livestock from sensitive areas like streams, agrochemical handling systems, erosion control structural systems, most often used, and this is really neat to see this at a high, thanks Abigail, that's great, at a high level of about 10% of the projects in AIM 16 were, going up in our cropping landscapes and managing soil and water with more structural practices to stabilize slow flows, reduce losses of sediment and the nutrients that come along with them, and maintain, farmable acreage. Irrigation water management on fruit and vegetable farms, livestock heavy use area systems to, better contain and control and manage nutrient sources around the farmstead and use them to collect as a fertilizer source out in the fields while keeping, the clean water clean that comes off of roofs and stormwater and routed in a stable way. Manure management systems, nutrient management, some fuel tank upgrades, about 30 grazing systems, which was about 20% of the projects, repairing forest buffers, feed storage management systems with silage leachate control, lots of soil health systems, whether they're cover crops or tillage or crop rotation. And that was the largest by number, comprising about 30% of all the systems in AIM 16, and then rounding it out with stream corridor. So each of these systems then are comprised of individual conservation practices from NRCS, and they are listed. This is just a snapshot. The full list would go on for pages, but just for reporting purposes here, you can see some of the magnitude of you can see the units baked into the practice name, but 7,751 acres of cover crops and about a couple miles of diversions, many acres of forest trails and landings. So you can see the hard work of the foresters on the team working with landowners to reduce soil erosion and protect water quality as they're farming in the forest. Lots of farmstead projects. And so you can kind of look at this and grazing, about 1,000, almost 1,100 acres of grazing projects. So that's all wonderful. Let's let our mind expand a little bit and look at photos and projects. And these were all submitted either through a great BMP showcase, which I'll give a link to at the end of the presentation here, that the CDEA put on at the Water Quality Symposium in 2022, or from final reports. And this is just a sampling. These are lots of good projects, and these are representative of them. The first is from Orleans County I just want to show today. This was comprised of 2 irrigation projects on small fruit and apple orchards. Pretty significant, improvement over their existing system and condition with overhead irrigation to a much more efficient drip system. The farmers were extremely happy. They went in on time and on budget, and those 2 last things are just a feat, given the last 2 years we've all gone through. So hats off here. Shifting from irrigation now to cropland, soil and water conservation practices. Here's from Yates County, and this is one of their erosion and control system structural projects. This one is, they noted, the largest one that they've ever done in Yates County. And you can see the extent of it in the right hand in the existing condition field map here of the 3 really long running concentrated flows in the field that don't go too much farther before they're in a stream and then in a lake. And so they developed 11 water and sediment control basins and lots of stable outlets to weave a system in here which collects and slows the flow during storm events, reduces peak flows, reduces sediment loss, gully erosion, the nutrients that go along with it, and improves farmability of the fields, all in the same effort. And what you're seeing in the upper left here is an after photo, recently after, just got the winter grains in there. And they got a 50-year storm. So this is a great picture Tom Eskelson sent that tests the system, and it handled it like a champ. Was not, which is a really cool thing to think about, given that we're getting more of these storms of this magnitude. Okay, a hard plug here for a new innovation that I have to credit our own Bethany Bizdu from sort of developing the original idea. And it's only available in the AIM-based program, and it's called the Riparian Forest Buffer Establishment Plan. And what its niche in our whole ecosystem of cost share projects, whether it's from the state committee or NRCS, is it allows districts and farmers funding to go out to riparian forest buffers that have been installed by other means. Installed, a couple of years ago by another cost share program or something like that. But to go and do the important work of operating and maintaining them, which we've learned from others, experts in the state, as well as from the Stroud Center in Pennsylvania, is critical for their establishment and functioning long term. And so it allows opportunities to pay farmers and or districts, depending on who's doing the work, to monitor, replace tubes, restake, mow, keep these, help these riparian forest buffer systems establish and thrive in their early years so that it can be, more maintenance free on their own and provide that ecosystem function in the long run. So hats off to Shenango and Tioga for taking us up on this new offer that was in AIM 16. And we're definitely looking for more districts to seize this opportunity in AIM 17 and beyond to help these buffers really get up and operate on their own. And I'm sorry if I skipped over this part, but indications that the recommendations from these buffer experts that it takes 3-4 years of this kind of work after they've been installed to have them establish and be viable on their own in many cases. So really important work, cool opportunity here, and it has to be kind of nested in a non-competitive program because it's tough to inject this into a competitive program and have it come out. Another example here, our friends, got thumbs up from Scott. Thanks, Scott, a real leader in this on our staff as well and developer of it. So this is pretty cool. This is the first implementation project out of, I think my understanding of first forest Tier 3A forest conservation plan led by staff at the Franklin County and Clinton County district. This happens to be in Clinton County, cool partnership there. And actually the landowner was so generous that she volunteered the use of the conservation plan as our sample forest 3A plan for training purposes. So really, really appreciate that. That's valuable. Where they went up into the woods and looked at soil and water conservation resource concerns at a minimum. They happened to be working with a district forester here, so she did yet more work with them. And they installed a significant system of various diversion devices and stable outlets and grass waterways to help this farm both in its selective harvesting activities over time, its wildlife management, and also its sugar bush management. So 3 major objectives from this landowner working in the woods. Love to see more of that. Lots and lots of projects. I hope you're getting that sense here. Just a sampling to sort of finish off here with the photos on the screen here. Ulster County, an example of a really awesome prescribed grazing system to bring some kind of underutilized hay fields to better match the forage needs and water quality and carbon sequestration, that comes from a well-balanced grazing system between forage production and herd demand. Washington County, and hats off to this farmer, committed 20 acres of fairly productive, although very flood-prone portion of their field to a 20-acre perennial grass buffer which sometimes even recedes, flood flows here, as you can kind of see in that aerial photo. And that went in, and that is significant. And thousands of acres, I think, almost 8,000 acres of cover crops over the 2 years on the right-hand side here. And this happens to be a great example from Allegheny County. So lots of other good examples. I can go on for a long time. I did want to end with a couple cool projects here. They're heavy use area protection, more farmstead focused projects. Here you can see the existing condition, not a lot of opportunity to control and contain nutrients, and then use them on pastures and fields as fertilizer, and a bit of a management constraint as well to the completed condition down below, which has all sorts of opportunities to use that manure that's deposited, contain feeding, contain livestock, keep them here, get them off the pasture efficiently. This is really more of a story from Oswego County of human relations, because another project they did in AIM 16 encountered a really, really challenging family situation on the farm and landowner and attitude, and just a clinic in the professionalism of the district staff and the partners working there, in taking deep breaths, working with them methodically, seeing the project through, despite a lot of stress and anxiety, sometimes taken out in personal ways, but counting to 10 and not reflecting that kind of approach back, got them through to a successful project. And luckily, I guess there's some karma in the world here. Her next project, which is on the screen right now, was much more amicable one with the farmer. They've been in work since 2013, and a plan in 2017 that led to an implementation that everybody had agreement on. They had no cooperation with weather, but because of the district's approach and the farmer's attitude there, they made it happen in lousy weather in an also tricky year, and we're very happy with that. So this is just to underscore, and you can see some of Erica Schreiner from Oswego's summaries about those human relations, the importance of that person-to-person human relation work that, anybody who's a farm advisor and farmers themselves, right, really need to exemplify and operate every day to make these work. I included some reflections also from Tony Faka from Albany County, who had a similar substantial and awesome livestock heavy use area runoff control system put in, and they both offered both reflections from the farmers, very happy with this nimble 2-year modestly funded project, either indicating that it kind of hit that niche that we were striving for, to not compete with our other programs, don't compete with EQIP, don't compete with Ag Point Source, don't compete with CRF, but maybe find opportunities where projects aren't, getting ranked high enough, but are still good and moving things forward for nutrient sediment and greenhouse gases, and providing some support to those. So, you're getting some indications, and this is fairly common in the feedback, that we're hitting that mark and not competing with our other programs on longer contract terms with potentially larger budgets. Another take home from these reflections that I just screen grabbed slides from the presentation you're all talking a bit, was that please keep it going, and please don't decrease funding, and maybe even bump up funding. So I think the state committee and partners have some discussions ahead for AIM 18 about how we might react to some of these reflections and experiences with AIM 16. All of the things that most of the things that I talked about in case studies above are said much better than I did by the people who actually saw them through with farmers on this webinar at last year's the Springs Water Quality Symposium, which was a BMP showcase of these AIM 16 Tier 4 projects. And I can't do it right now, but I will paste this link into the chat at the end of the presentation. Okay, so we're good at tallying up finances, right? What was spent, how much did the farmer contribute? Really good at tallying up numbers of BMP systems, numbers of practices, but we all want to strive to make estimates of the other benefits that are coming from these projects. So what about nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment benefits from implementing these practices? What about greenhouse gas benefits or carbon sequestration benefits from these practice systems? We all, based on the applied research, the standards that come from the applied research, and then our own field experience, know that these practices are advancing our performance on nitrogen, sediment, phosphorus, and greenhouse gases. And so, that's kind of substance enough to continue doing it, but we need to strive to, estimate and quantify these benefits beyond that. So as a first poke at this, several of us have been working on this over the last a couple of years. And you see, Jennifer and others reporting out on the greenhouse gas part as with climate resilient farming. This is the first time that I've had the data set from the AIM-based program to attempt it with a couple of tools here. And I just put this slide here more for background and transparency of the methods that we are currently using to estimate nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment. And that's based on a very robust watershed model that is used to manage the entire Chesapeake Bay watershed PMDL process. But you're able to pair it back to just your locale and estimate edge of field, or as they call it, edge of stream loss reduction estimates, and then crosswalk those with NRCS BMPs, and then associate them with the BMPs that were implemented in a particular cost share program. It could also be done for practices, hopefully in the years to come, we get a better sense of what farmers are doing on their own. It could be applied to those. The other is using the Comet Planner, and Jennifer has nicely described this in the past for CRS, but Jason Kokinos and the team at Comet worked on peeling out all of the greenhouse gas reduction coefficients from the practices that are currently characterized within Comet Planner for New York. They vary a little by jurisdiction across the United States. And so we use that spreadsheet to associate and crosswalk with the NRCS standards and make estimates. I should also notice, I didn't do this, I'm sorry, is credit to Cassie Davis at New York State DEC for actually doing these cast runs, one BMP at a time across the whole watershed to get that coefficient that we're then applying to the entire state, even though it's from a significant but not entire part of the state with the 18 or odd counties that touch the Chesapeake watershed. And then the last part is using the EPA calculator to maybe make these a little more understandable in terms of how many car miles were reduced or whatnot. So these next slides have big asterisks next to them because they're estimates. This is here, this method is here, this method is okay. There's several deficiencies, but it's the best and most accessible we have right now. And there's a lot of interests, I know, in the state to be able to do this better, to do it more site-specifically to the practices that we're implementing to help us understand impact and help us set goals for the future. So please understand that caveat, and please understand that I'm not saying this is what actually happened, but this is our best estimate to date. And we look forward to becoming more accurate with reality in the future. So if we look at the Tier 4 implementation systems, remember that bar graph and all those, and then some of the visuals we saw in the slides, here are the estimated nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment savings. This is pounds of nitrogen, pounds of phosphorus, and then tons per year of sediment. And then carbon dioxide equivalent. So that's sort of an amalgamation of CO2 emissions or sequestration, nitrous oxide emissions, and methane emissions. Although I will admit for the practices that are found in Comet currently, nothing in AIM 16, had a methane reduction element to it. So it was all just focused on CO2 and nitrous oxide. So these are how these 160 DMP systems and thousands of practices calculate out with our current approach. And that's analogous to 550 fewer passenger cars or 6.5 million fewer miles from those cars, or the total energy used from 325 single-family homes as estimated by EPA. If we applied a similar approach to the acres and types of Tier 3 and Tier 5B plans, we would get the following estimated effects. And that boils down to about 7 pounds per acre of nitrogen per year, about 0.4 pounds, half a pound of phosphorus per year, nearly a ton of sediment per year, and then 0.23 metric tons per acre of greenhouse gas savings, either through sequestration or emission reduction. These are small relative to, if you look at the millions of pounds of things needed just for the Chesapeake portion, because we've got those goals for the TMDL, or the millions of metric tons needed in our Climate Action Council scoping plan. So many more practices, honing in on those that provide the biggest benefit, but not losing sight, right? Sometimes these are at odds, the greenhouse gas emissions and the, let's call them water quality or soil health elements here, and not losing sight of may not always be a win-win. And we need to make decisions to protect the resources, that are a priority with that specific project. So hope you enjoyed these estimates with a big caveat and giant asterisks with it. And we have more work for sure to do here. So back to more solid ground, if you will. This is a standard sort of through the years since the start of the AIM-based program report of accumulated accomplishments from the soil and water districts operating AIM, with the addition of Tier 4 of all the progress made with our other cost share programs too. So steady growth every AIM round and every round of funding here, and that's what we've got to need to do, and faster too. And it should be noted that there's about an equal magnitude of work estimated from USDA programs. So really this doubles if you fold in the full partnership, and that's not even mentioning all the practices that farmers are doing on their own. And for various water quality and climate goals, we have to work to get a better sense of those through monitoring and measurement and verification. That's a lot of good work, and I would be remiss, since we're right in the moment here, not mentioning we should pause, relax, and give a hats off to people who really make this work well. And we just want to acknowledge the sort of updated, as of 2020, AIM Leopold Conservation Award from the long-running AIM Award and the long-running Sand County Leopold Conservation Award outside of New York prior to that. And the Sang Lee Farms were the recipients of that in 2020. Thank you, Stephanie. The Table Rock Farm, the DeGolier family in 2021. And here's the news. We want to just acknowledge the 4 awesome AIM Leopold Conservation Award finalists for 2022. Sorry if I said that earlier. With Echo Farm in Essex County SWCD, Greenfield Farms, Guinea Atlas in the Onondaga District, Humbert Farms in Clyde with the Wayne County District, and Longhurst Farms in Stanley with the Ontario County Soil and Water District. So congrats and hats off, and thanks to all the districts and farmers who did what they did to be able to be in a spot of a track record, longevity of effort to be able to apply. Okay. A final slide here to think forward. I want to give a little snapshot. AIM 17, the next round, started in January of this year. We've got 52 districts participating, a little over $12 million contracted. So we're continuing to up the game, which is awesome. I want to remind everybody that this really cool riparian forest buffer establishment option is in the cards and available. And I think Danielle Singer, who led the effort there in Tioga County, is also going to present their efforts here at our next Technical Advisory Committee meeting relative to RFB establishment work. So connect with Danielle, myself, Bethany, Shenango County, Jen Kelly, if you're interested in taking that on as a district. Okay, districts keep incentivizing planning with the cool new flat rate testing services options for soil health, manure, soil, and compost nutrients in AIM 17. I hope that helps. I hope that paves the way to get some nutrient management planning continue to be on the rise. And keep plugging like you do with developing these tier 3 plans in AIM 17, so it leads to really well-defined, ready to roll, decisions made, tier 4 track projects for AIM 18. And please stay in touch about your ideas as you continue to live and learn with the AIM base program and these 2 tracks, so we can build them into AIM 18, because we're going to formally start collectively designing that program or refining from AIM 17 in the fall of 2022, late fall of 2022. And so just leave you here with some questions for AIM 18. Whatever your role is, partner, soil and water district, farmer, interested public, you name it. Improvements, innovations, is the contract term where it needs to be? Do we need an update to the technical assisted track funding caps? Do realize that we have our own ideas here too, so but interest in yours. Update to the tier 4 cost share track funding caps. Maybe ways that the program is originally funded so that we can more deliberately address additional resource concerns beyond water quality and soil. Would always love to bring more districts into participation, and look forward to hearing your ideas right now along the way, and definitely when we begin the formal development process in the late fall of 2022. With that, I'm well over time, but thank you for your patience and rolling with me there. Dale, Brian.
Oh, Greg, thank you. Go ahead, Dale. Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. I just don't trust this computer today. Anybody have questions or comments for Greg? Man, fantastic approach, program report. And I just can't believe the projects. Really, when we started this, I was kind of curious as to what we would end up with. Boy, the projects are fantastic and innovative. So,
yeah, they really are. And I was
anyone else
surprised with, you average it out, 3.5 projects per district is more than I dreamed of when we rolled this out. That's a lot to get done in a 2-year, really 18-month period once you get the contracts ironed out and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, phenomenal work done by soil and water districts across the state, and phenomenal report, Greg, that you put together. I hadn't seen that before you gave it, and I'm just so impressed with the amount of information you were able to synthesize from 2 years of the program, and well, before that, but the AIM 16, phenomenal. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for the time, the extra time even.
Absolutely.
Brian, you got something you want to do right away?
Yeah, so Dale, I know we are a little bit
before we go to
behind
reports
here, but that's perfectly fine. Before we get into voting and advisory, I actually want to start off with staff reports, and I want to ask Jennifer to give the committee a very quick update on where we are with the CRF program expansion, since we didn't have a chance to talk about that earlier with the recusals and folks not on the line. And then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian. I just have a quick update. I don't have any slides to share. I'm just going to talk real briefly about the working group meetings that we were able to have. I informed the committee that we were going to have, we had 6 working group meetings. All of them had probably an average of around 30 participants, which we received some great feedback, very thoughtful feedback and conversation, and very appreciative to all those who participated, and even had some follow-up meetings and follow-up discussions already. And from all that feedback, of course, there's a lot of work to do that that will help us progress all of the topics that we did have meetings on, which, just real quick, we had a meeting focused on livestock, adaptation and resiliency, soil health and nutrient management, agroforestry, urban agriculture, and then one dedicated to just listening to soil and water district feedback. So those were the 6 meetings, and lots of feedback that we won't be able to incorporate right away, but potentially through different mechanisms or different avenues, we'll be able to kind of work on some of the things that were pointed out to us. But for round 7, we do have some ways that we can incorporate some of that feedback, mostly through expanding our current tracks. Track 1 was focused on cover and flare systems, and potentially expanding that out to just more methane mitigation for livestock management. Track 2, potentially really just adding more practices that fall under adaptation and resiliency, and including water management, which has proven to be very, very important as far as the amount of applications that we received for round 6 under that category. And then track 3 has also been a very popular track with healthy soils and why, and really trying to more emphasize and support agroforestry, as well as potentially supporting and bolstering urban agriculture throughout any of the tracks. So just some broad ideas for round 7. For the EPF budget for 22-23, we were awarded 16.75, and some of that is dedicated to Cornell soil health, outreach, and technical assistance, as well as they implemented a small grant program. So even support through support for farmers and technical assistance providers through some of the expanded work that they're doing. So for round 7, for any potential pilots that we want to create and research efforts that we want to support, we have $16.25 million available. And that's just kind of a quick, brief kind of outlook on the way that we're heading for round 7, and any potential new ideas like pilots or research support that we could do with the expanded funding that we've received. So if there are any kind of thoughts or questions or support for any of those ideas, I'd be happy to hear your feedback.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. We wanted to give the committee an update on where we're at, and thank you for coordinating and leading all of those discussions. That was such an enormous task, and thanks to the committee for requesting that be done, and from that and TAC meetings, additional staff discussions, and eventually state committee meetings, we'll be bringing those concepts to life in hopes to get an RFP out around the first of the year, and also to bring any other concepts, pilots, research projects to the committee for consideration, this fall. So awesome job. Okay. Dale, I can continue on and ask any other staff that are on the line right now if they have a report, and then we can go into advisory and voting reports, district reports, if that's okay with you. I know audio is a bit of an issue right now with Dale, but we'll continue on. Is there any other staff reports today? I'm not going to go down through the list, but if anybody's got a report that they'd like to give, please feel free. And I just got a text from Dale that he lost his speaker again. So, wow, we've been having some audio-visual problems. Any other staff reports? Okay, well, all the staff have been extremely busy and doing awesome work. So I'll work with all of them to make sure they've got time in future agendas to discuss all the work that they're doing. Thank you. As Dale struggles to get his audio back, we'll go back to any voting member reports. Starting with Dave, do you have anything to report to the committee?
No.
Okay, thank you. Darren.
I think I'm all set.
Thank you. Scott.
Nothing really. Thanks for finalizing things for the annual meeting. We're sending out the packets soon. If you haven't got them already.
Excellent. Thank you for that, and we'll put that date on the agenda in the minutes as well. We look forward to that. Thank you. All right, see if Dale's got his audio back. All right, he's coming back. Okay, so we'll go with the advisory members. Jeff, Ag and Markets, do you have anything to report? Okay, hearing none. Dustin, CDA?
Thank you, Brian. We've got our returning administrative conference coming up. It's going to be September 20th and 21st in Syracuse at the Doubletree. We're going to be getting the announcement out for that soon, just finalizing classes. And we've got our regular CDEA meeting tomorrow in Albany. It's an in-person meeting, so there's not a Zoom link there. So we hope anybody that's available will make a point to come out and chat with us. And I look forward to seeing you there, Brian, along with a bunch of other folks on the call here.
Absolutely, Dustin. Looking forward to it. See you tomorrow. What was the start time for that again?
10
a.m. Awesome. That's what I thought. Just thought I'd take an opportunity to double check. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. DEC. Anything to report?
Hi, this is Julie. Just wanted to remind everyone that applications for WQIP and MPG are due on the 29th at 4 p.m. As I'm sure you're all aware already, but I think that's the only update I have.
Excellent. And that is a part of the CFA, if I remember correctly?
Yep, that's correct.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Julie. Okay. Department of State.
Just the same as Julie mentioned, the CFA closing on Friday. So that's all I had.
It's funny when Julie, you mentioned the 29th. I wasn't even thinking that is Friday already. I don't know where the time goes, but all right, Friday closing, CFA. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, NRCS, Blake.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I just have a couple things, Brian. The NRCS is just busy trying to close out this last quarter here with EQIP and CSP obligations, and then trying to close things out before September 30th or before October 1, as far as that goes. And I just wanted to take some time here to give Dan just a few seconds here to introduce himself, put a face with a name, and tell him a little bit about yourself, Dan.
Yeah, hopefully everybody can see me. As Blake mentioned, I'm the new state soil scientist here in New York. I started on last Monday. My previous work experience, I worked as a resource soil scientist out in Flint area office covering 22 counties of Southeast Michigan for the last 3.5 years. Prior to that, I spent about 16 years in Washington State as a soil scientist, both in and outside the government. I worked for a soil survey program out there and also worked as private consultant. I'm actually from Liverpool, New York, just up the lake here from Syracuse. So I'm returning home, and it's been about 27 years since I've lived here. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. And I know we've got some trainings and things planned that are coming up for the Soil and Water Conservation District staff. And again, I'm excited to be here and working with all of you. Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much. Welcome back to New York State. It's wonderful to have you, and really look forward to working with you and our conservation partnership as we advance soil health here in New York. And hopefully you were able to hear Greg's presentation, and that's just one example of cost share program that supports soil health work here in New York, in addition to all the great work NRCS is doing. So we've got a lot to talk about. Welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you.
Brian, thanks committee.
Thank you, Blake. Anything else, Blake?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you. Definitely look forward to talking with you a little bit more, Blake, too. Like to have you on the agenda, talk more specifically about NRCS programs. And as Jennifer mentioned, urban agriculture continues to come up, and that's an area of big interest for us here at New York Ag and Markets and USDA. You guys have been doing great work in that area, and just had a conversation with some folks where NRCS programs and staff were brought up. So I just took a quick opportunity to put that on your radar, and let's get together soon.
Sounds good. Anytime.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Steve Shaw, SUNY ESF. Do you have anything for the committee? Okay. At this point, we still have a few Conservation District staff and other partners. So if there's anything from Conservation District staff on the line, if you have any questions or comments for the committee, now's your chance. Go ahead and take your phone off mute.
Hi, Brian. It's Jake Wiedemeyer. Happy Tuesday.
Hey, Jake. Happy Tuesday to you.
Thank you. I had some technical difficulties this morning, and I missed the first part of the meeting. But is there a CRF round 6 ranking available? Was that discussed?
That was discussed, and the round 6 ranked list was approved. So we were able to move that, and hopefully be seeing some award announcements coming out soon.
Okay. So we'll still have to wait to see if we're on the list.
Yeah, just a few more moments. Well, a few more days, but yes.
The reason why I'm asking is the county's pushing hard with other grant funding in case CRF round 6 falls through. So we might apply for another. Yeah, so we're kind of scrambling here. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No worries. I'm glad you asked, because I do anticipate communicating with our commissioner's office in downtown to be able to make those awards and announcements as soon as possible. So.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Jake. Nice to hear your voice. You too.
Likewise, Brian.
Anyone else? Conservation districts? Okay, partners and public comments from anyone on the line. If you've got a comment or a question for the committee, now's your chance. Go ahead and take your phone off mute. Okay, hearing none. I don't know if Dale has gotten back to us yet or
Can you
not.
hear me, Brian?
There he is. All right, can hear you.
Yeah, I lost my computer, lost the connection and it will not reconnect. I'm on my phone. Could do video, but I'd go with what I got. Did you do
Okay.
the voting members?
Yep, we did. I handled all that for you, Dale. I learned from the best.
Much. I'm sorry about the problems today. I got to track down what's going on.
No problem. We're down to next meeting. I have proposed is September 20th. Customary for the committee to take August off. We won't have any program motions or resolutions ready for August, so I think that is acceptable, appropriate. So September 20th puts us back to the third Tuesday, which we try to maintain as much as possible.
Exactly. The other voting members, everybody, think that date's okay for you?
Yep.
Darren, Scott?
Yeah, hopefully it'll work all right.
Okay,
Looks okay for me for now.
great.
Over that date then, Brian, for now, and if something happens, we'll have to look at rechange. We'll wait and see.
Okay, sounds good. That'll also give us some time, hopefully through the month of August, to understand a little bit more about what open meetings law and our ability to meet in person and also hybrid, which we can do and we're going to try to do in September. So, all right.
Okay. Anything else anyone want to bring up or anything before we adjourn? Computer to work. At the very end.
I think I'm glad you came back to us there, Dale. Appreciate that. I think we're good on this end.
Great. All right. Thank you everybody for participating today. Really sorry about chronic issue on my end anyway. But we'll hopefully see everybody in September and have a very good the rest of summer and meetings adjourned.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great summer.
See you later.